My name is Sophia, and at 31, I work part-time at a neighborhood supermarket. Today marks the beginning of November, a time when things start to get busy as we head towards the year-end. The manager approached me, expressing interest in discussing some time off over Christmas. It felt unusual, as it's not often I request time off. The truth is, I began, we're thinking of spending Christmas at my husband's parents' house this year. I'll need to take the 24th and 25th off. Oh, that's what it's about. Of course, that's fine, the manager replied reassuringly. You're always working hard, Sophia. Thank you. That's a great help. Isn't your husband's family based quite far away? And you're from around here, right? The manager inquired. Yes, I'm from the neighboring town, but my husband is from Boston, I explained. Boston, huh? That's quite a distance, the manager remarked. Yes, it is. Unfortunately, due to circumstances, we haven't been able to introduce Alexander yet, I shared. Even more reason for you to head back. Don't worry about the store. Go and visit, the manager encouraged. Thank you. I appreciate your understanding, I expressed gratefully. Alexander is my 2-year-old son, currently attending a child care center. When I gave birth 2 years ago, a certain societal issue made it difficult to introduce him, and we haven't found the right time. Recently, things have finally started to calm down, and it seemed like a good time. My husband, Lucas, is a medical technician at a hospital, making it difficult for him to take time off, so we were particularly keen to make it happen this Christmas. Later, Lucas returned home after Alexander was asleep, and as we shared a late dinner, he brought up the discussion we had agreed upon regarding getting time off from work. Oh, by the way, I'll call my dad, Lucas mentioned. He tried to reach me while I was on my way home. Whenever there's news, it's always my dad who calls. My mom is the quiet type. She tends to delegate communication tasks to my dad. That's true. Now that you mention it, I nodded in agreement. My father-in-law has a cheerful personality, Lucas added, and he was quite friendly when we first visited to announce our marriage. He's always laughing and engaging in conversation. On the other hand, mother-in-law, as I put it, is quiet and speaks sparingly. Honestly, since getting married, we've hardly had the chance to converse, and I was hoping this visit to Lucas's home would help close the distance a bit. Lucas ended the call with his dad and turned to me, saying, Dad is really excited to meet Alexander. He can't stop talking about it. Let me know if there's anything you want or need, he said, casting a thoughtful glance my way. I couldn't help but wonder what would unfold when we arrived, but I found solace in their excitement. My parents had also urged us to go this year, insisting we introduce Alexander. But you love father-in-law and mother-in-law too, don't you? Poof, we're both in the same boat, aren't we? Anticipation filled us as we finally returned to Lucas's home. The day we had been eagerly awaiting had arrived, Christmas morning. After about a 4-hour drive, we pulled up to Lucas's house just before noon. I noticed sister-in-law's family's car parked there, indicating their early arrival. Merry Christmas, we called out as we stepped into the entrance. There, with a beaming smile, stood father-in-law. Good job on the drive. Take it easy today. In his arms was Ava, sister-in-law's daughter. Oh, Ava, you've grown so much, I explained. I'm 6 years old now, she announced proudly. Really? You're in elementary school, I replied, amazed. Oh, there's Alexander, Ava said, stepping down from father-in-law's embrace to greet him. Alexander returned her smile, melting our hearts. Come on in, father-in-law ushered us into the living room, where sister-in-law Isabella and her husband awaited. Isabella's husband offered a warm smile, while Isabella herself appeared distant. Merry Christmas, we greeted them, but there was no response from Isabella. Feeling a bit awkward, I tried to brush it off as Lucas joined us and greeted them warmly. Isabella, Henry, Merry Christmas, he said. Oh, we haven't seen each other for a while, have we? How have you been? Isabella, who had been staring at us until a moment ago, now flashed us a smile. Did they just ignore me? It seemed like neither Isabella's husband nor Lucas noticed. Maybe I'm overthinking this, I thought, trying to shake off the discomfort as I settled into the living room. Lucas watched Alexander while I offered to help mother-in-law in the kitchen. I'm good, really? He insisted, but I knew it was important to lend a hand when we could. As Lucas kept an eye on Alexander, I made my way to the kitchen, where mother-in-law was busy. Merry Christmas, mother-in-law. Let me help you, I offered. But as soon as I spoke, she shot me a glare, bumped my shoulder, and said, "You're in the way," before retreating to the living room. I could hear her say, "Oh, Lucas, Merry Christmas. Have you been well? What's going on? First, sister-in-law, and now mother-in-law. Did I do something wrong?" I couldn't think of anything. Lucas and I have been married for 4 years, and it's been 2 years since Alexander was born. We haven't really spoken or even communicated much over the phone during this time. What could it be? I don't understand. Maybe I shouldn't let it bother me. We were planning to head home later that day, so I decided I would discuss it with Lucas when we had the time and stopped worrying about it for the moment. When I returned to the living room and took Alexander from Lucas, father-in-law said, "Here you go, Alexander, monetary gifts for you." Alexander seemed really happy with the envelope father-in-law handed him. "Ah, Sophia, did you hear that?" Alexander just said, "Thank you" to me. What a smart kid. Father-in-law looked really happy. But what caught my attention was the sight of mother-in-law and sister-in-law grinning as soon as Alexander received the envelope. It wasn't just a simple grin, it seemed rather sarcastic. I instinctively felt they were up to something, but I reassured myself. Nothing like this has ever happened before. It must all be in my head. And so time passed, and in the evening we headed home. The next day, we went to my parents' house since we see them often. Alexander was all smiles when he saw his grandparents. "Merry Christmas. Your grandpa and grandma have presents for you." Lucas and I were a bit taken aback by how much my parents spoiled Alexander. Just like the day before, my dad handed Alexander monetary gifts. "Ah, oh, Sophia, did you hear that?" Alexander just said, "Thank you" to me. You're kidding. That's exactly what father-in-law said. Everyone laughed. As I took the monetary gifts from Alexander, I felt something unusual with my hand. Why does it feel so heavy? I had not sensed anything inside the envelope when I received it from my father-in-law the day before. Yet, I couldn't help but wonder at that moment. He wouldn't have put $100 in here, would he? Is that even okay? I decided to chalk it up to my parents' indulgent love for Alexander. Our home is about a 30-minute drive from where we were, so we ate lunch and then headed back. After giving Alexander a bath and putting him to bed, I decided to check the monetary gifts. Oh, it is indeed $100, just like last year. I kind of feel guilty. Well, we'll have to give something back in return, won't we? Just like last year, my parents didn't hold back, given I'm an only child, and Alexander is their first grandchild. I understood their affection, and yet I was a little flabbergasted. Nevertheless, I felt grateful, so I jotted down the amount of money received. But my dad seemed quite eager too. He was totally in sync with my father-in-law. This year will be interesting. Last year, since we couldn't meet, they had sent us a gift card, and the amount on the card was $100. They were thrilled to have a grandson, weren't they? Remembering my father-in-law holding Alexander and talking happily the day before, I continued the conversation and opened the envelope. That's when the unexpected happened. Wait, what? A leaf. There was a single green leaf inside the envelope. I was at a loss for words. Then Lucas, startled by my reaction, exclaimed, "What a leaf? What on earth is this?" He started to laugh uproariously. But what came to mind at that moment was the behavior of my mother-in-law and Isabella. No way, I thought. Anyway, I'll call them. They'll surely be concerned about this too. Lucas seemed to think it was all a prank, and while laughing, he tried to call my father-in-law, but there was no answer. "Oh, they might be in the shower. Let me try calling Mom." Lucas then called his mother. It seemed she answered, and he told her about the leaf. From her surprised reaction, it was clear she was explaining something to Lucas. "Oh, so that's what it was, huh? All right, I'll let Sophia know. Why do you want to talk to Sophia? Me? Hold on a sec. Lucas pulled the phone away from his ear and said, Mom sounds super apologetic. She says she wants to apologize to you, Sophia. Is that okay? Sure, I replied. While his words were surprising, I reluctantly took the phone from Lucas and picked up the call. Hello. Just like that, mother-in-law went completely silent. Then I heard a faint, familiar laugh in the background that sounded like Isabella. Hello, mother-in-law. Like I would ever apologize to the likes of you, you poverty-stricken wife. Use me, your children are as poor as a leaf. See ya, paper wife. With those unbelievable words thrown at me, she hung up. At that moment, I realized all the events of yesterday were an act of spite. What's wrong, Sophia? You seem off. But how could I ever convince Lucas of what just transpired? First, I needed to find out what mother-in-law told Lucas. Hey, what did mother-in-law say to you? Well, it seems like Dad accidentally gave out the gifts that Ava had prepared. Remember how Isabella and her family came over for Christmas? First, Dad had prepared some monetary gifts. Then Ava said she wanted to help too. Somehow, in the process, she decided to include a leaf from the garden as a bonus. She might have swapped it with the money. I see. What's up, Sophia? You seem off. I found myself at a loss for words, suddenly labeled as a poverty-stricken wife. I had never experienced something like this before and struggled to find the right words to explain what had happened. Just as I was about to speak, a call came in from father-in-law. Oh, sorry, Dad. Maybe he's calling back, Lucas said, putting the phone on the table and switching it to speaker. The phone rustled, and Lucas asked, Dad, did you call by mistake? Lucas? Oh, it says Lucas on the phone. Ava, is that you? Yeah, you got it. It turned out Ava was the one who called back using father-in-law's phone. You're going to get in trouble with Grandpa, Ava. That's fine. I wanted to talk. Grandpa's in the shower. It's all good. Plus, Grandpa always says we should answer the phone when it rings, so I'm talking for him. Lucas commented, Well, it's nice that Ava is happy to talk on the phone. This isn't the right time, perhaps sensing my mood. Sorry, Ava. We're in the middle of an important conversation. Oh, really? Well, that's a bummer. Bye, Lucas, and bye, poor auntie. Wait, Ava, What's up? What did you say at the end? Both Lucas and I didn't miss what Ava had said at the end. It sounded like she said, poor wife, because Mommy's grandma also called auntie poor wife. She just said it earlier, too. Right now, Mom and Grandma are chatting over coffee. Ava, could you explain to Lucas what you mean by earlier? When Grandma was on the phone? Yes, so here's the thing. Broke wife once mentioned this to me. It's all about the leaf. Mom used to prepare the leaf with a smile and taught me all about it. She said that for the less fortunate, monetary gifts come down to a single leaf. Lucas looked at me with a baffled expression, and all I could do was stay silent. That's when my sister-in-law, who had noticed Ava's phone call, shouted, Ava. However, at that same moment, my father-in-law said, We'll talk about it later. Feeling confused about what was happening, I saw the phone being handed over from Ava to my father-in-law. Sorry about that. I was taking a shower. Then when I got dressed and came out, I found Ava saying something outrageous. So you heard it too, Dad? I'm sorry, Lucas. Could you hand the phone to Sophia? No worries, Dad. We're on speaker. Sophia's listening too. All right, Sophia, was what Ava just said true? And those bizarre words were targeted at you, right? Yes, that's right. My father-in-law stammered over his words. Behind him, I could hear my mother-in-law and sister-in-law speaking rapidly and agitatedly, as if trying to make excuses. My father-in-law sighed deeply. I am truly sorry. Please don't blame Ava. She didn't mean any harm. No, it's all right. We don't mind at all. Ava's not at fault here. Thank you. I'll follow up on this matter. Isabella's here too. We'll confirm things with her. With that, he ended the call. Lucas then looked at me, apologizing. I'm really sorry. I have no idea what's going on, he said, utterly confused. I shared with him all the discomfort I felt during my visits to Lucas's house. We decided to wait for a response from my father-in-law. Surprisingly, we received a reply sooner than expected, and amazingly, the very next day, Isabella's husband drove father-in-law, mother-in-law, and Isabella to our house. Upon entering, they stood before a sullen mother-in-law and sister-in-law, and father-in-law, along with Isabella's husband, apologized profusely. We've done something truly disrespectful. We are sorry. We apologize for the outrageous behavior of my wife. The deep apology was appreciated, but the two of them didn't utter a single word. After being married for 4 years, I couldn't fathom the reason behind their animosity, even though we rarely met. May I ask, why did you suddenly act this way towards me? If I understood the reason, I could address it. There might be some misunderstanding, I thought, but there was no response to my question. The two of them were intent on ignoring me. Father-in-law, enraged by their attitude, shouted, "Answer her." Finally, Isabella grudgingly responded, but her answer was unexpected. Well, Mom was originally against the marriage. Wait, that's it? And why? Why did you let him marry a woman like this? A woman who doesn't even wear a single brand name item, who dresses in mass-produced cheap clothes. Indeed, I'm not interested in branded items. On the other hand, Isabella is the type who likes branded goods, and my mother-in-law also owns and wears a few brand-named items. Are you saying? Don't tell me that's the only reason you insulted her? That's all it is. I just don't want her in our family. I wish they would divorce soon, and she would just disappear. You know, how could you say something so rude? And what about you? Why are you supporting such a woman? You're a top-tier company employee, an elite. You should choose someone suitable for our family, right? Despite Lucas being a well-qualified medical professional, we can't accept such a woman as a family member, can we? Upon hearing Isabella's true feelings, her husband was speechless. However, it would soon be proven by the next words of my mother-in-law that this attitude was inherited from her. Originally, you see, I had found the suitable partner for Lucas. Despite that, he brought home some unknown woman and declared they were getting married. It was a true shock. What, you were doing such a thing without telling us? There are limits to what's acceptable to do to Sophia. It's fine, isn't it? She's just a poor girl, isn't she? Her parents didn't seem very impressive either, quite impoverished, don't you think? She wasn't wearing a single branded item. In other words, she's from a struggling household that finds it hard to make ends meet, right? What? What are you saying? Besides, to love a child born of such a woman, impossible. It would taint our precious Ava. We had plans for her to marry a friend's child. Upon hearing his mother's true feelings, Lucas was speechless. Feeling the same way, wondering how I could have missed all this, considering that my father-in-law called not out of interest but disinterest, everything makes sense as harassment. Well, it's fine if you divorced. Please do it as soon as possible. Let's go. We don't need to get involved in this farce, I said, ready to clear up a misunderstanding for the sake of my pride. Just as my father-in-law was about to say something, I was ready to defend myself. The ones who dramatically opened the living room door were my parents. It's been a while, father-in-law, mother-in-law. Did Sophia call you? My parents, aware of the situation, had arrived just in time. When they heard that my father-in-law was coming over, I had contacted them. It seemed they had heard some of mother-in-law's terrible comments from outside the door. Their timing was perfect. My parents approached mother-in-law with serious faces. What is it? Then my parents took out business cards from their breast pockets and said, "Here you go." Amazingly, they dropped their business cards at mother-in-law's feet, their attitude seeming to say, "Pick it up." I had to try hard to suppress my laughter. The one who rose to their bait was Isabella, picking up the business card and shouting, "Stuck arrogance from a poor person. You didn't even wear any branded items today, and your clothes look mass-produced." As soon as she looked at the card, she realized her mistake. Mom, startled, Mother-in-law also looked at the business card Isabella held. You two are executives of Valac Clo. Yes, my husband and I started out together. He's an executive at the headquarters. I'm the head of planning. Our daughter quit when she got married. You know that, right? Both of my parents are currently working at the headquarters of Valac Clo, a famous low-cost apparel brand. I also, after graduating from college, while I had spoken to my father-in-law and mother-in-law about myself at the time of our marriage, my parents had never explained their situation. So she could go back to work anytime she wanted, right? What? That's amazing. You work at that famous fashion brand's major corporation. So what do you mean we're poor? That my grandchild is the grandchild of a poor wife because you opposed the marriage? It's okay to harass us. It's not. We're really sorry. But that apology was only because my parents held executive jobs. Needless to say, it was beyond the point of being resolved by just an apology. Henry looked disappointed as he said, I thought it was a good thing to leave Ava with my parents, but you? I stuttered. I'll drive you home, but after that, we'll live separately. What? What are you talking about? I'm glad I got to see your true face. Let's discuss our divorce when we get home. Henry then left the house. At that moment, my father-in-law also stood up, bowed deeply to my parents, saying, I'm really sorry for what happened. He then turned to us. I'm really sorry. I'll be in touch. Looking sternly at my pale-faced mother-in-law, he said, Be prepared when you get home. Before he too exited our house, my mother-in-law and Isabella hurriedly grabbed their belongings and rushed out. I caught my breath at home. After my parents kindly offered to pick up Alexander from the child care center later, I received a call from my father-in-law. He told me that my mother-in-law had been forcibly sent back to her parents' house. It's a de facto separation. Apparently, they made this decision because they were unsure what she might do to Alexander. But it's a separation with a premise of divorce, and it seems they are waiting for the right timing. As for Isabella, the divorce was finalized immediately after she returned home. Henry obtained custody of Ava Isabella, of course, has taken refuge in my mother-in-law's house. But she seems to be getting a good scolding from my mother-in-law's mother, who knows the truth and is currently on a job hunt. We continue to live our busy daily lives. It feels really good to not only see our child grow up as parents but also to share this joy with his grandparents.